Welcome to my craft table. Hi, this is Jamie Marich coming to you from my craft table today. I'd like to show you how to make this card. Some of the products are no longer available, but I want to use up what I have. So let's get started and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, the stamp set is Beautiful Day. I'm going to use this flower here. And I'm going to use this Hello from the Flourishing Phrases. We're also going to need an old olive and a lovely lipstick ink pad. I have a piece of watercolor paper that's cut with the largest square framelit. I have a piece of the lovely lipstick foil paper that was from the Celebration that was cut with the largest scalloped square framelit. I have a piece of the lovely lipstick that is die cut from this die from the Flourish Thinlits, which is part coordinates with the Flourishing Phrases. I have a piece of old olive, which is 3.5 inches square. I have a piece of Whisper White. This is just the regular Whisper White, which is 4 by 5.25 inches. And I have written it incorrectly, but it's 5.25 inches. And I've run it through the lace dynamic impressions texture folder. Okay, I have a piece of lovely lipstick, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I have a piece of thick, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and adhere this layer to my card base, and I cut the square out of the center of it just to save a little paper. Okay, there's going to be an 1/8 inch border all the way around it, or less than an 1/8 inch. Okay, that works. Okay, let's go ahead and mount this piece on there. You can decide which side you want up. Looks pretty either way. Use quite a bit of glue because it's very textured, but you don't want to oozing out. Again, there's going to be just a little bit of a border, not a lot, like an 1/8 inch border, just enough to give it some shimmer. Okay, now we're going to set this part aside for now. Going to bring in our stamp positioner, Stamparatus. I have the rose already positioned in here because this is a small piece of paper. So I've taken Post-it notes and made a frame so that I know exactly where to put this sheet of paper. And I'm going to take the lovely lipstick stamp pad, and I want to stamp up all of it except the leaf. So go ahead and stamp it up. Make sure I have good coverage and it's good and inked up. And the reason I'm using the stamp positioner is because I'm using watercolor paper, and it's very textured, so sometimes it's hard to get a good impression. So make sure you push down well. Yep, see, I missed a whole, oh no, that's where the leaf is. Okay, that's fine. I get a little bit over there. I missed some of that petal, I think. Let's stamp it again, just to make sure it's got good coverage. Alright, close this ink pad, so I'm done with it. Now I'm going to bring in the green. I'm just going to bring in my chamois and wipe just that little bit here by the leaf, just because I don't want to contaminate my ink pad. Actually, I can wash the whole thing off. That won't hurt anything. Alright, and I'm just going to ink the leaf this time. So use the corner of the pad, just ink up that leaf. If it gets onto the flower part, I'm just going to wipe it off. Go ahead and stamp it down. Add a little bit more. Okay, we're done with stamping with this part. We'll bring in our chamois. Let's wipe that off real fast. Okay, now we're going to bring in the Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp the hello. I don't want to stamp it yet though. So let's remove this from here. Put the paper in there. Remove this stamp once we're done with it, and I'm going to bring in a water brush. Now Stampin' Up carries water brushes, I just don't have one right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start where each petal meets, and I'm just going to bring in a little bit of water, pull out the paint of the ink that's already on here, wet that petal good, bring in my lovely lipstick, let's grab a block, I'm going to put some ink onto my block, and then I'm going to pull it out, and this is just enough water on here. Just add a little bit more water because I want it to flow a little bit more than that. I don't like it quite that dark, but basically all I'm doing is wetting the flower. You can go ahead and just paint the whole thing like this. Wetting that ink that we put down. If you don't get every spot, that's fine. Leaving a little bit of white is what kind of makes it look like it's watercolored. Then let's thin this out so it's not quite as dark. Bring in a little bit more in these areas where it overlaps. And I'm not doing it neatly, I'm just sticking the color down. Okay, that's it. Clean out my brush, go into the green and do the same thing. Just pull out that ink a little bit. It's alright if a little bit of pink goes into the green, it won't hurt anything. I got way too much ink, didn't I? That's alright. Just washes off with water. So let's push this aside so I don't get into it. Alright, now I need to bring in the stamp positioner again, and I do need to dry this. Normally I recommend you let it air dry, but for the sake of time I'm going to hit it with my heat tool, because if I stamp the memento onto this right now it would bleed. So let me pause this and I will go dry it and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. It's dry now, or mostly dry. I'll put it back in the stamp position, Stamparatus, right where it was. It's a little bit warped because we used water on it and I heated it with the heat tool. So I'm going to bring in my magnet. See if I can get this to lay down a little bit better. Right along this edge. Let's see if I can put it right on that corner. Well, let's bring in both of them. I don't like getting both magnets out at once, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And you know, I'm going to move it just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to ink it up with Memento ink. My in frame, barely. There you go. Stamp it. Perfect. I even need to redo it. That worked out well. Now I might recommend that you use a slightly larger piece of watercolor paper and then die cut it out. Because then you'll get it positioned exactly where you want it. Okay, now the next step is going to be to mount this onto the gold foil. So let's get, or the lovely lipstick foil paper, excuse me. You could use gold, that would be pretty too. Or this new rose gold foil that's coming out. That would be really pretty. I don't have it, so. And I want to use this paper up, so let's put dimensionals on the back of this piece. Just a little bit of edge left, so let's go ahead and use it. Killed that pack. Let's add one more to the center. Alright, we're going to center that up on the center of this old olive piece. One more. Okay, we're going to bring in our card base. We want this to go here, but we want this piece to go underneath there like that. Oops, I did that wrong. This needs to go under here. That's alright, it still works. So let's just add a little bit of glue to the back of it behind where it's going to go. Not a lot, just a little. Couple little dabs on the ends. Go ahead and slide that in there. Get where we want it. Okay. I'm going to put glue on the back of the old olive piece. A little bit more on these ends, and stick this down in the center of our card. There we go. There's the card that we just did today. Here's the one I did previous. Well, thank you for joining me at my craft table. I hope you have a great rest of your day.